The following podcast is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Connect, Australia's newest choice for event management and brand development specializing in pro wrestling.
And now, the B Plus Wrestling Podcast. Watch global. Support local. It's the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The moves.
B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground.
All right, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to another B Plus podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Friday. You know what that means. It's Aussie Graps Day, and just as it has been for the last couple of weeks, we're hitting you with a double dose of action. Last week it was PWA Black Label. The week before, I think it was MCW. This week, it is World Series Wrestling. Our one and only, really, well, our BCW tour, but our biggest international sort of, bringing in internationals and doing the whole tour thing all around the country. Joining me to break it down, WSW superfan. One of our first podcasts was a WSW podcast, Mikey.
Yeah. Hello, how you going? It was one of our first podcasts. I don't know if it was a beta or not, but I remember listening to podcasts on the way to World Series Wrestling this time last year. So yeah, feels like about a year ago.
Yeah, it would have been there to a year ago, and then obviously we covered the one in November as well, or whenever that was.
Yeah.
But they always do November because it's always right near my birthday, but they always skip Adelaide. they hit Adelaide one time, but they're skipping Adelaide again. They're skipping Perth. They're skipping Queensland. They're just doing Melbourne and Sydney this time around. 2 nights in Melbourne, 1 night in Sydney. Are you headed to this one?
I sure am. I'm very, very excited for this one. 2 reasons. Obviously, the card and the talent listing on there is just amazing. But also, it's on a Sunday night, not a Monday night this time. So
Right.
I'm very excited for Sunday night because Monday night just sometimes doesn't work for everybody, and I'm glad that Sunday night is a thing. So,
All right. So that's amazing. It's because they're only doing the 3 nights, I guess, that it's easier for them to get to Sydney on the weekend. But Melbourne, we're of course back again at the Southeastern Entertainment Centre. Night 1, Friday, 21st of June. That's tonight, as people listen to this. And night 2, Saturday, the 22nd of June, tomorrow night. Let's take a look at some of the action here. Now, something I want to get into quickly beforehand is, do you think that World Series Wrestling are maybe jump the shark a little with their schedule and the way they do things? Because it looks like tickets have not been selling as well this go round, and there hasn't been as much hype this go around from what I can see.
I don't think it's got anything to do with World Series Wrestling or the card. Similar to what we've talked about with the New Japan shows, and I think it's just purely just money at the moment. There's people, there are people that love dedicated to going to every wrestling show that they can. But June just happens to be one of the most expensive months for wrestling. A week before the New Japan shows, there's been 2 PWA shows,
which are also not selling well.
There's 2 PWA shows for the first time in a while. They didn't actually sell out. You got shows like FWA, you got BCW doing their tour, MCW doing their stuff down in Melbourne. Like, there's just a lot of wrestling this month, which is fantastic for the scene, but hard for a lot of people's wallets. And I think...
Yeah, well, coming like right at the end of financial year too, when people are like, oh crap, I have to, like self-employed people are like, oh crap, I have to put away tax because I forgot to do it, unless they're, better than me.
Yeah, well, so I think I'm not too sure about the Melbourne thing. I don't know how far out the venue is from like any sort of city or main transport or anything like that. World Series Wrestling for Sydney, as much as I love what they do, and I love the arena, I love the arena, I love the venue.
Evans Theatre.
The Evans Theatre at Penrith Panthers. Penrith is not a central location. It's, 2 out.
I mean, you say that, but I lived in Penrith, so I would have loved to have World
I
Series
mean,
wrestling at
our
Perth.
very
No,
own
but
CJ
in
literally
Melbourne,
lives across the road from it and doesn't even come to
yeah.
shit ass. But
yeah, he's a weird one. He only watches WWE. He's the lonely
yeah,
fan. But but the thing is with Melbourne, on the Turnbuckle guys tell me that for people who work in the city, it takes them about an hour to
Yeah.
get there on a Friday night from work, like with traffic and all that. So it's a bit hard for their Friday night shows, and their Friday night shows always do a little worse than the Saturdays.
yeah.
But I'm more talking about the fact, because this is something that comes up with a lot of people that I've talked to, is we've already seen Brian Cage, we've already seen Flip Gordon, we've already seen Marty Scurll, like every time. We've already seen Austin Aries, we've already seen all these people. We see Joey Ryan, we've seen them. They do the same thing over and over. It's the same wrestlers, and it's not worth the ticket price just to see Lucha Brothers, because they're the only new people. Which, I mean, I think Joey Janela's new as well. He was supposed to be on a former tour, but wasn't. And that's sort of what I'm getting at, is have they, like, with the way they do their schedule, 2 nights in Melbourne, people see Joey Ryan 2 nights back to back, people see Marty Scurll 2 nights back to back, and then 3 months later, here they are again, and people are just like, well, I just saw them 2 nights in a row three months ago.
Well, I mean, it's their roster, and like they have had a pretty stock standard roster since coming back into after 10-year absence. Guys like Joey, Cage, and this is the first tour that Aries has missed. But Joey and Cage, I think, have been on every tour. I think maybe Joey came on one but didn't wrestle on one because he was injured, but he still came. And I'm pretty sure Cage has been on every tour since the rebirth.
I believe so.
Marty's been on about 3 or 4. Flip's been on now 3, I think. The Aussie guys that are on the card, so like Robbie, Slex, Bonzo Moretti, the Philippe brothers, they've been on 2, 3, 4, 5 tours now. Look, it's you got to think of it as a roster. Like, you can't just think of it as a special event every time. The only thing I would say, my only criticism of the thing is they don't need to do 2 nights in Melbourne. I think 1 night in Melbourne.
Do they tell long enough stories to consider it a roster, though? I mean, the Austin Aries story, I've defended it with Austin Aries being here as much as he was, because they told some solid stories with him and Slex, with him and Robbie, with him and Johnny Impact. The stories went over multiple tours, but I can't think of a story for Marty Scurll other than he won the tag team titles.
Villain Enterprise has begun here on our shore with this. Yeah,
this is true.
Look, for me, yes, like, I'm a massive Lucha fan, so Penta and Phoenix just wins me over in a heartbeat. That just sells me. I've been wanting to see Penta and Phoenix live for many, many years, and finally get to see it. They're finally here, despite all the controversy around them coming here in the last couple of years. I'm not going to touch on that. But they're finally coming. They're going to be here. For me, that equaled my money. Like, that, as soon as I saw that. But not everyone's going to have that same approach. Penta and Phoenix are one of the best tag teams in the bloody world, if not the best tag team. And some people might see it that way, but they, for me, are a massive, major attraction, enough for me to spend the money. I'd still probably go regardless, because I am dedicated to World Series Wrestling. I missed the March show. That was my first World Series Wrestling show I missed since the rebirth. But I'm keen for this card. The Sunday card that's in Sydney is very interesting, because there's no actual technical title match on that show. I'm sure by the time we get to Sunday, 1 or 2 or even 3 matches will turn into title matches. But they haven't done that yet. Like I said, I think they should just do if they're going to do just 2 cities, I reckon just do 2 nights, Melbourne and Sydney. 1 night Melbourne, 1 night Sydney. If you want to obviously expand to Adelaide or Brisbane, do that.
Please do.
I understand Perth fans, it sucks. A lot of tours just do not get out to Perth. It's just, the travel from Melbourne and Sydney to Perth is just a little rough. Unfortunately, Perth's going to miss out. Adelaide's a little bit closer. There's no reason why I can't do Adelaide, but I think 2 nights in Melbourne is too much, and I think trying to burn that hole in your wallet 2 nights in a row it's hard. But I'm excited by these cards. So
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the action that is going to be taking place in Melbourne. Night one, like I said, that's tonight at the Southeastern Entertainment Centre there. Brothers Collide. Actually, that's probably the main event, so we'll start with the pre-show. In pre-show action, Royce Chambers and Gabriel Eros.
yeah, this should be fun.
Whew,
What's
damn.
this? PCW versus RCW, the billionaires.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, Royce Chambers there in PCW, Gabriel Eros from one half of the Perea from over in Riot City Wrestling. Two relatively closed systems. When you look at Melbourne Wrestling, these guys get out and wrestle. So this is a good chance for Royce Chambers to wrestle someone from outside the bubble, which is awesome. And same goes for Gabriel Eros. Gabriel Eros is an interesting one because, he's mainly a tag team guy, but he got the big feature match last tour when they were in Adelaide against Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. That's the only sort of pre-show match that's been announced for the tour. I think night 2 in Sydney will get a pre-show match. I think we've had Matty Warburg versus Ricky South in the past and that like that. So we'll get something like that as well, but nothing announced yet. But yeah, that should be fun. You got 3 title matches on this card, which is going to be fantastic. Let's go with that intergender match. They're building it as an intergender match. Joey Ryan versus Indy Hartwell. That's going to be interesting as fuck. That is going to be fantastic. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I can't watch it. Obviously, we can get it on DVD. World Series Wrestling are already probably collecting money for the DVDs for
They do their pre-orders, yeah. Did you say who the match was?
Yeah, Joey Ryan and Indy Hartwell.
Mikey?
I did say that.
Right,
I did that.
Okay. I didn't hear you say the names. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so Joey Ryan and Indy Hartwell, they'll tear it up. I'm curious to see how, obviously you do a lot of the Joey Ryan shtick, but Joey Ryan can actually wrestle really well, which I point out a lot. And I think at this point, coming out for an intergender match now, and given how much of the shtick he has done on our shores, he should take a page from Session Moth Martina's book. She said on Wide World of Wrestling podcast interview that, she likes to bust out the actual wrestling now over in the UK because they've seen all the shtick stuff. At this point, we've seen a lot of Joey Ryan's shtick. I'd like to see him bust out an actual wrestling match with Indy Hartwell. Do bits of the stuff that you do, but let us get some good old school PWG Joey Ryan wrestling in there as well, because I think Indy can pull off a really good match with Joey.
And Joey is probably the number one male in terms of intergender wrestling in the world.
Yeah, his match with Solo Darling I watched recently on just a random show. I think it was on a Beyond show. I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely. It might have been Bar, actually. It was probably Bar, thinking about it. But yeah, definitely he's one of the best when it comes to that particular genre of wrestling.
And then another cool match that was announced is it's billed as Suplex Machine versus The Business, Jeff Cobb versus Slex. That is going to be interesting. Yeah.
I'm curious as to whether Slex has some wins under his belt now in World Series Wrestling. I wonder if they're just going to go back to jobbing out to the internationals, because I can't really see this is Jeff Cobb's first match in World Series Wrestling. So
yeah. Well, he has a big match on the night too, which we'll touch on soon. But yeah, I imagine Cobb will go over in this one. But I don't think it'll be as Slex just eating a pin from an international. I think there will be. Slex will be looking good in this, though. Because Slex has got an interesting weekend. He's got Cobb, and then the next night he's got a very interesting opponent. But yeah, I think that's a very interesting matchup. I like the build of Suplex Machine versus Business. It should be interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess, you said it might be the main event, but it probably won't be over the title matches. But build as Brothers Collide. Lucha Brothers, Phoenix and Pentagon Jr., their first match on Australian soil ever, versus Philippe Bros in Tome Philippe and Stevie Philippe.
It's just Tome. It's just Tome.
Is it?
Tome. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm such a Sydney guy. Tome Philippe and Stevie Philippe. From what I've watched a little bit of the Philippes over the years. Not enough, not much of an MCW guy as others, but this should be fun. This should be a really good match.
Yeah. Look, this will be match of the night. Calling it.
Okay.
I'm calling it. You got Tone Phillip and Stevie Phillip just returning from the Farley Dojo over there in New Zealand.
Yeah.
About to head off to the New Japan Dojo from all reports. They actually featured on the Turnbuckle this week, guys. Go out and listen to On the Turnbuckle to check out an interview with the Phillip brothers. Also, you can hear Farley and Gino on that episode as well. They're one of the best tag teams in Australia. I know you don't get around them too much because they're Melbourne boys and you're a Sydney boy, but they're definitely one of the best tag teams in Australia. Definitely one to look out for, and they're going up against one of the best tag teams in the world. So I think it's going to be an incredible match. I think that's definitely going to be the match of the night.
Yeah. Well, another amazing tag match that will follow that. And actually, that will be very interesting because they could be like a number one contenders match.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, as the next tag team match that we'll talk about is actually for the World Series Wrestling Tag Team Championship. This is a fantastic international... this is brilliant. Marty Scurll and Brody King, obviously Villain Enterprises, taking on the Flippin' Machines, Brian Cage and Flip Gordon.
Yes, indeed.
There is a lot of story here. Brody versus Cage, Flip versus Marty. It's Ring of Honor and Impact in one tag team, and then you got a full Ring of Honor tag team on the other side.
That's not story, man. That's Super Show. That's not story. That's Super Show. I'm sorry.
But Marty...
You can't just call that story. Oh, Impact versus Ring of Honor. You can't just call that story. That's not story at all.
Marty and Flip is a story. Like, that is a 3-year being the elite story that has come over.
So they've got some history to play into, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think we see the Flippin' Machines actually pick up the win here.
I do too. And the thing is... this tour is another thing to look out for is, are Villain Enterprises going to get their fourth member on this tour? This is where Villain Enterprises was born. There's been a few little promos from Marty Scurll and that regarding this tour related to Villain Enterprises. Does he find his fourth? Does someone join?
Maybe. Maybe. I suggested Mick Moretti, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, never know. you get to that on night 3.
Yeah. But moving on, we also have a women's championship match there. Jordan Grace defending against Indy Hartwell. No, that's on night 2. I apologize. Jordan Grace defending against Kelly Ann. That's going to be a banger.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see Jordan Grace on Sunday night. The first time I've ever got to see her live. I missed the last show, as I said. She is one of the best female wrestling talents in the world. Probably behind Tessa Blanchard is probably one of the best women in the world. And Kellyanne is obviously amazing. So that would be a real banger, like you said. Fantastic. I think Jordan retains here against Kellyanne, but I'm not 100% certain she holds on it on the second night, which I will talk about later. But I guess what the main event will be on Melbourne Night 1. A rematch from about a year and 2 months ago. Robbie Eagles versus Joey Janela for the World Series Wrestling Championship match. They faced each other one-on-one in PWG action. I think it might have been Robbie's first PWG match.
Right.
Against Joey Janela. Or was that against the British guy that's now in NXT UK?
I'm not too sure, man.
Yeah.
I'm not
Anyway,
sure. PWG. I'm not fully around PWG as much as I'd like to be, just because of the way they release.
Yeah. I know it was one of either his first or second opponent ever, and I think that was a show where Joe and Janelle pile drove Robbie's head into a chair about 3 nights before he came back for the Progress PWA show. So, so these guys have one match of history in the past. This is going to be interesting. Robbie Eagles, technical in the air, technical on the mat. Joe Janela is not so technical. He's more, hardcore, more.
But that's by choice, though. He can wrestle.
Oh, he can wrestle, absolutely.
It's like a Jimmy Havoc situation where the guy can wrestle. He just chooses to,
But I'm very
hurt people instead.
I'm very interested to see Robbie in this type of match because we see Robbie is good against big guys, he's good against the small guys, he's good against but it's very rare you see Robbie in these sort of matches against someone that's a little bit different. Like Joey Janela can wrestle, like you said, but it's got more of a, he'll bring out some toys with him somehow. It'll be fun to see how Robbie is in these matches. I've never seen it. I've seen the highlights from that one PWG match, but this will be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful.
And I think we both agree that Robbie retains here. Moving on to night 2.
Yeah.
Moving on to night 2, where we don't actually have a Robbie Eagles match announced.
We don't have a title match announced. There's a couple of people aren't officially announced on this show yet, which I'm sure if you are in Melbourne on night 1, they will announce some stuff ready for night 2. There's 5 matches booked. But yeah, I'm sure though, based off Robbie's match and maybe based off like I don't know, based off some of the results here, we'll see like a different title match on night 2.
Yeah.
But Robbie's not announced for night 2 yet, so it'll be interesting to see. Well, let's dive into what we do know for night 2 at the same arena on Saturday, 22nd of June. Start with the very interesting King of Dong style versus the Jurassic Punk, Joey Ryan versus Sid Parker. That's going to be a fucking banger.
Yes, wow. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Just how the two characters there interact.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Joey Janela versus Sid Parker, but Joey Ryan versus Sid Parker is just as entertaining. So
Joey Janela versus Sid Parker would have been a bloodbath.
Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely seeing the King of Dong style take on a dinosaur.
Yeah,
is going to be interesting.
Yeah. And then the next match.
How far do you think they go? Because I don't know how much you know about Sid Parker, but he does like to bite.
Yeah, I can see them doing a little bit. I mean, they had that Fatal 4 hardcore match that I got to see in Sydney, I'm sure. I think they did it a couple of times on the tour, but when it was like Abyss, Moretti, and I can't think of the other two, Jimmy Havoc, and I can't remember the other one. Apologies. But they did some interesting, like, hardcore things where, like, I wasn't expecting it for a World Series wrestling match, but they went all out, so I reckon they'll let Sid Parker go all out.
Yeah.
Depending on what Joey Ryan allows, and I'm sure Joey Ryan, being Joey Ryan, will accept anything. Mr. King of Independence now.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This month, we are sponsored by Grapple, a fantastic new wrestling app available on iOS and Google Play, completely for free, where you can rate all the matches that you watch in WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all across the world, and we are even getting Australian wrestling involved in the Grapple app rating system as well, starting with PWA Pro Wrestling Australia. Their Green Label event from the other week is up there. The Black Label event, All Eyes on Troy, is up there. And the last 2 years of events, at least, are up on Grapple right now for you to rate so that people can get around our Aussie wrestling and see that we are just as good as anywhere else in the world. Basically, Grapple is a Rotten Tomatoes for wrestling. Now we all get a say. It is the democratization of match rating systems for pro wrestling. It's amazing. So I get a say, you get a say. You can follow me on there at Greg Unchained. You can follow Big Boy Mikey at B+_Big Boy. At Mr. Mysterious is on there. At Danders is on there. At Jay is on there. We're all on there rating the matches that we watch. So follow us. We'll follow you back. Let's build this community and get as many Australian wrestling fans onto the Grapple app as we can. You can download it right now. It has over 30,000 matches on there going back to 1985, 15 promotions around the world. There's so much to do on the Grapple app. It's a great little community, so get around it. It's Grapple, GRAPPL.co, and it's for free on App Store and Google Play. Get around it. Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B+ podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out outbreaknutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, outbreaknutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
But I think the next match is actually going to turn into a title match. So they're building this as tag team war. It's Lucha Brothers, Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. versus Flip and Machines, Brian Cage and Flip. I firmly believe Cage and Flip win the title the night before. Lucha
And
Bros,
the other one becomes the number one contenders match. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Which is, they become number one contenders by beating the Flip Bros automatically. So I reckon this will be a title match.
I can see that happening for sure. I definitely think Flip and Machines walk out of this tour. As you said, they're constants with World Series Wrestling. I think they walk out of the tour with the titles.
Yeah. So I think Flip and Machines beat Lucha Bros, but I think there might be some shenanigans. So, like, if it is a title match, because Marty Skrull's not booked on this night tour either. So maybe Marty Skrull and Brody cost Lucha Bros somehow, or like inadvertently cost Flippin' Machines or something. I can see something happening there. But what great three international tag teams to have: Lucha Bros, Flippin' Machines, and Villain Enterprises. You know, for some sort of tag team division as such. I mean, I know Lucha Bros is probably their first and last tour, because after this they will be all elite bound by October. So I don't think they will be. I mean, they'll allow international stuff, so who knows? But in terms of Australian tag teams with World Series Wrestling, we've had the Phillip brothers a few times. Yeah, we've had Four Nations.
Four Nations, but that's it. What about Brat Pack? What about the Pereira have worked World Series Wrestling as well? Yeah, but what about Brat Pack? What about the Babes? What about that? Like, there's a lot of tag teams that you can draw from in Australia.
Well,
Street Gang Hooligans. You could fly them over. Yeah, I mean if you're going to fly in internationals, fly in the best tag teams as well to give more competition. Yeah, right. I mean, in the past they've had the Basso brothers. That's true.
They've worked a few tag teams over the years. I think this is probably the best tag team tour they've done so far in terms of international stardom as tag teams. Right. But also in this card, speaking of international heavyweights, Cobb King, heavyweights collide. I'm not sure this has happened on Ring of Honor TV yet as a one-on-one, but this is going to be big boys.
It's the kind of match that you build to. So but this obviously being a non-televised show, like you just throw it out there. Jeff Cobb, Brody King, big boy match. Yeah.
Big boy season. I'm pretty sure they've done one-on-one in PWG at some point. But yeah, this is going to be brilliant. Another match that's built as a first-time ever match: Joey Janela versus Slex. Another very interesting one. I'm very interested to see how Slex is with someone like a Joey Janela. Depending on what type of Joey Janela you get, like we said before.
Slex can work with anyone.
Can work with anyone, yeah. And then also on this night is another women's title match in Jordan Grace defending against Indy. So I actually think Indy might take it from her.
It'd be good to see. It'd be good to see an Australian woman with the title.
Yeah, because there's no guarantees you're getting that international back for the next tour. That's the thing. There's no guarantees. Brian, Cage and Flip, you probably have a little bit more like security around because Cage is on pretty much every tour. Flip will go anywhere if he's not injured. So they're pretty a safe bet to take home the titles and come back next time. There's no guarantees you can get Jordan Grace back the next time. So I think this time you do.
Something that World Series Wrestling do really well, though, is make the internationals happy. Like, I've never heard a bad word about World Series Wrestling come from the talent. They all love World Series Wrestling. The way they get treated when they're here is world class. And so, it's very likely that she's like, I love it here and I want to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pretty sure with how professional this place is run, that they have things booked before this tour is even done. And I think once these guys are here, they're signing on the dotted line that, to get them back for the next time. So, unfortunately, things in the world do happen, whether it's other contracts. World Series Wrestling have unfortunately had an unfortunate run of either someone's coming injured or someone couldn't come because of a contractual thing, but they try their best to get it spot on from tour to tour. So, but yeah, I still believe. I think India might actually win it. I think India might be the first Australian women's title holder for World Series Wrestling. Be good.
Definitely, I can get behind that.
But yeah, that's Melbourne. That's the 10 Melbourne matches over the 2 nights. Maybe they build a Marty versus Robbie match again. I mean, neither of them are on that card. Robbie versus Marty is, a rematch from the bloody King versus Super Juniors again. I feel like they could book that on the night.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah,
potentially. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they would go with the title match. Yeah, I do. I think it's probably Marty Scurll, right? Marty Scurll's the one there not announced.
Yeah. It is. They're the 2 guys that aren't announced. So, unless there's some sort of tag match, like Robbie and someone versus Marty and someone, something like that. But yeah, we'll see. But let's go to Sunday, the 23rd of June in Sydney, in Penrith. This is a fascinating card. No technical title matches, like I said. I think by the time we get here, there will be 1 or 2 title matches, including what I think might be if Flipper Machines keep the title on night 2. This is, our booking that they've actually won the title on Melbourne night 1. I think they defend it again on Sunday against the Velocities, who have a tag team war match. The Velocities versus Flipper Machines in Jude London and Matt Diamond. Jude and Matt versus Flip is going to be interesting. Jude and Matt versus Brian Cage is going to be something a whole to see. Like, that's going to be...
They're going to get thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that this becomes a title match and they win the titles and we have a bunch of Aussie champions?
No. I think Flippin win the titles on Friday, 2 title defenses, and they go home with the titles. But I think the Velocities will look good in going for it, and then next time around they do get another title shot. Maybe they pick up the victory or something like that. But I think they'll fall short. I think Flippin' Machines still go home with the titles. But yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the Velocities have every tag title in the fucking country. Whether it's Paris, Jude, or Matt, any duo is amazing to watch. So
yeah.
Also in this card, 2 international challenges on this one. They're building as international challenge. Mick Moretti versus Brody King. Is this where we see some sort of Villain Enterprise thing? I mean,
yeah, give Mick Moretti the invite.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, even just the invite, not even to turn, like to actually join. Because if he joins that, he leaves 4 Nations, and I don't see that happening. But maybe they just invite him, and then maybe by the time you get to November, 4 Nations have some type of split or something. It'd be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see him join Villain Enterprises just because it means he goes to Ring of Honor. That's...
Oh, yeah, right.
I want to see him on TV,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I see him make waves internationally.
Yeah. And the second international challenge is Jordan Grace versus Jessica Troy. So this is not built as a title match, and that what makes me believe Indy wins the title on night 2.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, though, you should have your women's champion travel with you to Sydney and put on a match between, say, Indy Hartwell and, I don't know, Shazza McKenzie or something to that effect.
Or
I think Shazza McKenzie's heading overseas, so maybe not Shazza McKenzie, but...
Or add Indy to this match and make it a triple threat. Which would be fantastic.
Well, I hope that if Indy does win the title, I hope she makes an appearance at the Sydney show as well, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Jordan would want her rematch. Jordan would want her rematch. So, give her the rematch and then also give Jess Troy a shot. A recent PWWA champion. Jess Troy's on a freaking roll this year, so this should be fun. There's 2 international challenges, 2 members from 4 nations. Another technical international challenge, but they're building it as a first time ever. More big boy action in Cobb versus Bonza.
You keep saying building. They're billing it. Billing. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's just another one of those little things like Liga Liga that I have to. Once I notice it, they're billing it. Yes.
Yeah, they're billing it as first time ever Cobb versus Bonza.
Yes.
If the big boy match from the night before, Cobb and King, doesn't impress you, Cobb and Bonza will.
Looking forward to seeing Bonza stretch Cobb a bit.
Oh, yeah. He'll turn him into corn on the cob.
That doesn't work, but okay.
Somehow.
It's very late.
Yeah.
It's very late, Mikey. It's too late for calls like that. I'm sorry.
I'm trying some dad jokes. But anyway, that's going to be fantastic. Those 3 international challenges or first time ever, whatever, are fantastic. So 3 members of the 4 nations getting a shot against King, Cobb, and Jordan Grace. I like that. I love it, love it, love it. We've got 2 international matches. One being Build as Zero Fear versus the Villain, Pentagon Jr. versus Marty Skrull. Holy fucking shit. I don't know if this is the first time ever. I don't know if they've ever had a one-on-one. I'd have to research that and see if they've ever had a one-on-one. Because this would be maybe in PWG or something, maybe, but or in Northeast Wrestling or something like that, but nothing on a major show has they ever been against each other.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
I mean, Zero Fear versus the Villain. I love it. I love it. It just...
You ready for my fantasy booking?
Yeah.
For like a little one-night story that they can do here. You have the opening match be Mick Moretti and Brody King.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And you give the invitation. Maybe Mick Moretti wins even. And you give the invitation, come join us in Villain Enterprises, right? And you do that whole business, and you have Mick sort of like, maybe, and he'll consider it, right? And he goes back, and then he comes out with them, right, for Marty Skrull's match.
Okay.
And you pay it off with him deciding in that match, like, no, I'm not going to. Maybe you have, some of the other 4 nations on hand as well to help sway him the other way. I don't know, because obviously you got Jessica Troy's booked here. We got Jack Bonds booked as well, so you can always have them sort of come out to talk him out of helping. But I think that it'd be really cool to see him sort of decline in the second match, so you can have that story going throughout the night.
Yeah, that actually does sound very fun.
And you get more Mick Moretti, so
yeah, absolutely,
always a good thing.
Yeah, that actually sounds like brilliant booking. Why aren't you a booker?
Ah, well, because I don't have money to put on a show. If people want to hear these things become reality one day, support the B Plus on Patreon. That's one step towards. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
as a professional,
any company wants me to book for them. If anyone's listening to this and they're like, "Hey, I run a company. I want you to book for me," hit me up. I can do that. It'll be fun.
I've done some research as you were talking. They have had.
Thanks for listening to me so closely.
I was listening. I thought you had fantastic booking. But they have had one-on-one in the past, so that's why I couldn't book it as the first time ever. Fair enough. In a Battle of Los Angeles tournament, so fair enough.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But
I
wanted to double check that. I'm like, why would you not build that as the first time ever if it wasn't? But okay, it is. It isn't. So fair enough.
Yeah.
Another huge match on this show: Joey Janela versus Joey Ryan. The Battle of the Joeys.
The Battle of the Joeys happening in Sydney. I know some people that are very upset this isn't happening in Melbourne.
Yeah, no DQ as well. So I think the first 2 nights you might get wrestling versions of Joey and Joey against their respective opponents. Then I think Sunday is where you get the hardcore Joey and the fun Joey.
I want to see a spot where Joey tries to staple Joey's dick, but the dick is so strong that the staple bounces back and attacks Joey somehow.
I want to see them like steal a baby kangaroo from the zoo and call it, have a Joey in the match.
We are approaching midnight, Mikey.
Maybe Andrew Johns.
No,
maybe Andrew Johns.
That is enough.
Maybe Andrew Johns makes an appearance and Joey gets in the match.
No title match here either. On this show.
Well, yeah, because the main event is a triple threat war. But no title match here, which I don't know I don't see Robbie losing it to Joey Janela on Friday night. Does he lose it to someone on Saturday night, which has me worried? Or because actually Rich Swann isn't booked on Friday or Saturday, which is
very interesting.
But this triple threat: Robbie v Phoenix v Rich Swann, New Japan versus All Elite versus Impact.
Not a story.
But it's a thing in my head, so we'll take it. Yeah, what a very interesting triple threat. There's going to be some...
It's very interesting to me that Rich Swann isn't announced on either of the other cards.
Yeah. Does he...
It's got me curious now.
Does he... I don't know.
Does he join Villain Enterprises and jump ship from Impact Wrestling to Ring of Honor? It is late, Mikey, and it is time for us to call it. But that's the main event, right? Robbie Eagles, Phoenix, Rich Swann. We're going to assume it's going to become a title match somehow. I hope Robbie's not dropping the title on the first night so that we can get Joey versus Joey for the title. I don't think that would be great.
No.
But it would kind of make sense because then you got Joey versus Slex on night 2 and there's no Robbie. I don't want Robbie dropping the title.
Or does he drop it to Marty on night 2? It's not booked. Does he drop it to Marty on night 2 and Marty versus Pentagon becomes a title match?
Yeah, I don't like either of those scenarios. Can we just keep the title on Robbie and have him defend it against someone, please? Have him defend it against another Australian. Like, okay, sure, you won't put it in the main event probably. You'll put it somewhere in the undercard. But, give Robbie somewhat of a squash match as champion over, I know, bring Matt Rogers in and have a big man versus, I don't know who else you'll have on rotation because obviously all the Aussie guys they normally use are here. Right? Bring in Adam Hoffman and have Robbie versus Hoffman.
Or Robbie versus Diamond. Robbie versus Diamond.
Yeah. And do the same thing in Melbourne night 2 as well, Well, Diamond is already in the tag
but like
team,
if it wasn't, a Robbie versus Diamond for the title would be sick. Or in Melbourne, Robbie versus either Philippe brothers,
Well, no, but they're already.
No, but I'm just saying.
Oh no, they're not. They're not on this one. That's right. Yeah. It's night 2. Yeah, night 2. But I want to see Robbie, walk out as still the champion. I think it would be a good look for the company to keep their faith in the Australians. But that does it for World Series Wrestling starting tonight, guys, in Melbourne. There are tickets still available, so get around it. And Big Boy, where can people find you?
B+_Big Boy, or you can find me at Penrith Panthers on Sunday night. See you guys there.
I am at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Like, share, subscribe, 5-star review if you like what we do. And if you want to support us, you can do that at patreon.com/the B+. Make my dreams of running a promotion a reality. No, not really. It just helps us, the subscription services and things for wrestling and just running a website and all that sort of stuff costs money. So it would help with that stuff, of course. Support our advertisers is another thing that helps with that stuff. And thank you so much for listening.